There's absolutely no announcer in this joint, but I never needed an announcer, although Andrea was good. Ladies and gentlemen, it's great to be here. My name is Phil Moore from Nick Arcade. How you doing? I had absolutely no idea how we were going to do this, but I said, let me just get the microphone and just start talking. Okay, first of all, how's everybody doing? Thanks for coming out to hear me ramble on and stuff, but it's not just about me. It's about you, too. I'm going to be talking about Nick Arcade. I'm going to be talking about Nickelodeon. If you have questions, I will be taking questions from the audience. So think about stuff that you wanted to ask. I talk about pretty much everything, and I do mean everything. I talk about like how they invented the video zone. I talk about the stupid kids that played like dumbasses. You know, you're sitting at home going, come on. Mike, why do you walk into the bomb? And whatever else happens to be on your mind. Like I said, it's my first MAGFest, so, be gentle. Yeah. And because this is like a small room and it's just me, if it's okay with you, I know everybody else is going to be sitting behind the microphones and they're going to be like away from you. And they're like, hi, this is where I'll sit and you stay over there. But personally, oh, look, let there be light. If you don't mind, I like getting up close and personal. I like coming down. I like walking around. I like, being amongst the crowd and just chatting with you. If that's cool, okay? Is that all right? I see we got some Legends of the Hidden Temple people over here. I see you got the gear on. All right, good. As long as you can put that damn monkey together, that's all. There's a whole lot of stuff about, and so we can talk about all the different game shows because over the course of my time with Nickelodeon, I am friends still to this day with all of the other hosts. I'm Michael Malley, Kirk Fogg. The only person I don't see often is Summer Sanders because she lives in Colorado and I don't get out there much. But everybody else, as a matter of fact, I had lunch with Mark Summers before I flew out to Baltimore, and so I'm friends with people, even people who weren't on game shows. It's kind of interesting. Over the course of the years, as everybody's grown up, we kind of become a part of a fraternity. So even if you didn't know the person while you're shooting your shows, now we're part of like an alumni, if you would, So, listen, where do we start? Should I start? I'll start first. Okay. My name is Phil. By the way, Phil Moore is my real name. Interesting thing, when I started out, before I got the job doing Nick Arcade, I did stand-up comedy around the city of Orlando. I'm from Baltimore, by the way. Baltimore's my home. And I went to college down in Orlando, and I mean not Orlando, actually Daytona Beach. Got a job in Orlando, and decided screw the education. I'm going to start doing stand-up comedy for $50 a night in a stinky bar. And I went by the name of Filmore because when you say Phil Moore, it sounds like one word. But Nickelodeon turned around and said, "Hey, listen, we'd like for you to separate your name." And I'm like, "Hey, double waters. Is those mine? Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Waterman. What's your name?" Rob the Waterman. Give it up for Rob the Waterman. Keeping me hydrated so later on I'll pee. Thank you, man. Okay, so I'm going to try to get out a lot of the most frequently asked questions, and then that'll leave the floor open to whatever else debacle you guys want to throw at me, okay? The first question I get asked all the time is, "Hey, Phil, how'd you get the job hosting Nick Arcade?" That is actually the most boring answer of all the answers because it's just an audition. If you think about real TV, how it really works, the phone rings, you answer the phone, your agent goes, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Nothing. I'm eating Cheetos and I'm watching Wheel of Fortune." "What?" And she says, "I've got an audition for you. I need you to be here. I need you to do this." And you show up and hopefully, you get a call back. That's it. That was pretty much it. Now, in the case of Nick Arcade, though, they made it a living nightmare because normally you do an audition and maybe you get 2, maybe 3 callbacks, and then you get the gig. And over the callbacks can take anywhere from a couple of weeks to maybe a month before they finally, do 2 or 3 callbacks. In the case of Nick Arcade, I had 7 callbacks. I aged waiting for that phone call. Every time the phone would ring and I would answer, it's like, hello. And then it got to the point, like, after, like, callback number 5, I just didn't care. It was like, I don't, just let me know or let me go. Kind of like a bad date. Just let me know, let me go. But eventually I ended up getting the gig. And it was a weird time because the 90s, best decade ever. They're just saying. Best decade ever. I don't care when you were born. I was born in the 70s, but the 90s, like, just everything. It's like 90s Nickelodeon. I mean, like, they're referring to it now as the Golden Era of Nickelodeon. Like, there was nothing else like it. People who now have, like, kids and nieces and nephews watch TV on Nickelodeon and they go, what the hell is this? It was a great time. And it was kind of a unique period in time because the company was new. The president was like Geraldine Laybourne, and she was like just so innovative. And basically, she said, if you had an idea and it's never been seen before, and it was like safe for kids, and it was fun, like, give it a shot. Let's see what happens. You want to have 2 brothers and they're both named Pete? Okay. You want to have a fat cat shove powdered toast man up his butt? We can make that happen. You want to have a bunch of children see the world through their eyes, but they have big, lumpy heads? Sure, because listen, no offense to my friends over at Disney, but everybody at Disney has to look perfect. But at Nickelodeon, we had big, watermelon, crazy heads, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter if we were short, tall, freckles. They just wanted to make sure it was something that reflected like how kids really were thinking and what kids really were doing. And that was really the biggest difference about that period in time, because no other network was really doing it. It was a network, but it almost, back in the 90s, Nickelodeon act like YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Think about it. The way YouTube works now, you've got an idea, you want to do something, you just shoot it and put it up. That's what Nickelodeon did back in the day. It was a corporation, but it really acted like the way like we're used to YouTube, working right now. Okay, so the next question I'm asked all the time, again, for those of you who are walking in the room, I'm getting out some questions that are normally asked, so then we can, get whatever you want. How did they do the Video Zone? Okay, because here's the thing. The Video Zone. Now, here's the thing. The Video Zone, like right now, look, we've seen Gollum. You know what I mean? We've seen the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. But back in like 1991, the Video Zone, that was like going to Mars. You know what I mean? The technology actually had to be invented. Huh? Yeah, exactly. It was like crazy. The technology didn't exist. And the guys that created the show actually invented the technology to make it work. It didn't work until, it's kind of like, I don't know if you've heard like George Lucas talk about how they didn't know how to film the special effects for Star Wars. That's why he created Lucasfilm, and they invented all of these techniques that are commonplace now. Well, now the trick behind Nick Arcade was this. The Video Zone. You go in the Video Zone, there's a kid moving around as if they're, blind, and they're trying to like put their hands in the right spot or jump or whatever, and when they do, it triggers stuff. Okay, everybody familiar with that? Okay. Now, here's the simple trick that had to be invented. You know how when you take your computer and you move your mouse and it causes the cursor to move, and then you get it to the spot like subscribe, and you press the button with your finger and it clicks it. Okay, they wrote an algorithm that tricked the computer into thinking the human being was the mouse. I know, right? And see, you don't need a hand to move a human being. Human being can move on their own. And when you get to that spot, just like subscribe, it's just a word written on the screen. But when you get to that spot, or you get to that like button, when you get to that spot and you click it, something happens. So that's how Nick Arcade was. There were orbs and things flying around. And when you got your hand or your body, your head, whatever it happens to be, in a certain spot, it was like clicking on it with the mouse, boom, and it would trigger things. So that was like the weird sort of magic, I guess, behind the show. Wait, one other thing too. Before you guys came in, I was actually reading up here. I have some people here that were early. They saw me reading this. I have to read this to you before we go on because it's like business here. Okay, wait. Hey, audience, I have to tell you to download guidebook for MAGFest and fill out the feedback section to help improve MAGFest for everyone. Got it? All right, good. All right, I did my busy work. Okay. So that's how they made the Video Zone work. And let's see. All right, last I think the last regular question I'm going to throw out here before I open up the floor, and we can go back and forth, is where did I get my stupid outfits? People talk about the crazy sweaters. People talk about the loud shirts. It was the 90s. If you don't believe me, go take out your phone when you leave here. Look up like TLC. Take a look at the big shoulder pads, the loud colors. It looked like a peacock threw up on me. It was kind of crazy. And I had no control over it. I would come into work, that day, and hanging in my dressing room would be an outfit. And I would think, wow, Ray Charles went shopping again. And I would just put it on because it was there. And like I said, it was the 90s. So it does look kind of crazy. It looked crazy even for the 90s, too. I got to admit. It was a little bit, it was way out there. But according to the show creators, they didn't have any hand in it either. They would just give the wardrobe department some money, have them watch MTV, and then go say, no, buy like a bunch of colorful things. And I came back looking like a bowl of Fruit Loops. I have no idea why, but that's what happened. Okay, so any questions right now? Anybody have any questions right now, right away? Okay, this guy right here. What's your name?
How do they choose which games are on when you do the video challenge? Like, how do they choose what games to do?
Okay, yeah. You want to know how did they choose which games were on the video challenge? That was done by a team of people, one guy, who for a crowd at MAGFest 1991, best job ever. One guy's job was to play all of the games that were out there and prototypes that companies would send us. And then he alone would go, I like this, I like this, I like this, I like this. And he would bring me before the executive producers, and they would take a look at him playing games. That's what he did for a living. He was 23 years old. He was making bank, and he just played games. There was no amortization on YouTube. There was none of that. He just came to work and was like, what's up, y'all? I got my Nintendo. That's it. And so he would play a bunch of games, like at home. The ultimate homework. The ultimate homework. You lazy bum, why don't you get up and get a job? Dad, this is my job. But his job was to play these games. The guy's name was Sam Clifford, and he would just play games. And he would come in, talk to the executive producers and go, hey, I like these right here. And then just via committee, they would take a look at like what had better graphics or what they thought would be challenging but not too difficult for the kids to meet. And boom, those are the ones that would show up on the show. Good question. Anyway, yes, I'm going to go with you. Yes.
Hey, Danny. How you doing? Good. Thank you. How did you keep a straight face when there were kids that just couldn't do the video challenge or something?
Yeah, you were throwing. I know that's the thing. I look. That's why I made that comment. Everybody at home was throwing things at the screen. They were yelling at their screen. They were going nuts. She wanted to know, how did I keep a straight face? Okay, so it's twofold. Thing number one. This is okay. I shouldn't be saying this in a world where everybody's recording is going on YouTube, because I like to always say, you know what? I treated the kids with respect, which I did, and I always, tried to put them first, which I did. But like on the first couple of episodes, remember, I got hired from being a stand-up comic. So let me just put it this way. The first couple of episodes that we ever shot has lots of outtakes. And I wouldn't say anything. I wouldn't call a kid a name. That would be wrong. I'm a grown man. But when a kid gives an answer, you go, duh, no. That would be wrong. And so it was really hard at first because some of the answers, it wasn't the video zone stuff. Sometimes it was just a question. Boom, okay, we complete this phrase. Complete this famous phrase about a battle that was lost in the city of Texas. Remember the Amico. You're just stupid. And then you hear the cut. We're coming down, Phil, to talk to you. And then the people would come out and go, okay, Phil, that was funny. We were cracking up in the control room, but you can't call little Timmy stupid. I'm like, but that was stupid, wasn't it? Yes, Phil. That was a stupid answer, but for the sake of TV, this isn't a nightclub. We're not drinking beer. Nobody's gonna tip the waitresses, so you gotta dial it back. So what I ended up doing was I mentioned this in an interview I did with a guy named Joe. Joe, are you here? Joe, are you in the room? Hey, Joe, how you doing, man? I did an interview with Joe over there. And what's the name of your podcast? Say it again. The Snl Podcast. Guys, check it out. This guy was an awesome interviewer. We had a great time. And one of the things that I learned is it's a job. That's the weird thing. It's a lot of fun hosting the show, but I realized it was a job. And as I did it, I realized we're trying to make a TV show, okay? So while you're thinking with like your 12-year-old memories and stuff, but I was a grown man and I was standing there at the helm of a TV show. And the one thing you don't ever want to have to do on a TV show is have children cry. Nothing slows down production like little Timmy crying and Susie wetting her pants. You don't want that happening on TV. So what I realized is as they were making mistakes and doing all of these weird things, I really wanted to encourage them and keep them going. It's kind of like, it's kind of like, when if you've seen any sport or played any sport as a kid and maybe you mess up and the coach goes, oh, that's okay. You know what? No problem. We lost that one, but that's okay. We have like another quarter to get out there and we'll go, we can come back. I didn't do all of that like verbatim. But what I did was try to continually keep an upbeat, positive attitude, kind of keep telling them and encourage them like, wow, the score is 700-3, but that's all right. Round 2's coming up. The score is like 700-3, and I'm going, let's check the score and play some more. Why? Because you always wanted to make sure that they felt a sense of encouragement and that they could get through it. And so when I would see that stuff happening, by the time we got to maybe episode 10, and I was kind of starting to really wear the hosting shoes better, because it was a learning process for me. Nick Arcade was the very first television show I'd ever done on planet Earth, period. So it was a learning curve for me also. And when I began to see their faces and watch the energy kind of go down when something happened, like, again, a kid would do something crazy and I would just kind of sit there, you were the stupid one. Then you watch the energy kind of go down. You watch them feel like, again, it's 700-3. There's no way we're going to, catch up. So what I started doing was just, that's when I started getting a little more over the top in what it is that I did to keep the energy going. I tried not to give them a chance to dwell on how dumb they were. So, or how crazy the answer was, or how misguided they were in their movements or stuff. So I began to step into the shoes of being a host, a good host, and realize that there was a mechanic that I had to do in order to keep this engine moving for the sake of everybody, for the sake of the contestants, for the sake of you, the viewer. Trust me, you never want to see an episode where a kid's just sitting there, I don't want to play anymore. You would not have liked that. Yeah. So that's kind of like what I ended up doing. I ended up being a grown-up and playing, responsible host. Practice safe hosting, everyone. Safe hosting. Okay, hey, what's up?
Hey, Danny, how's it going? I got a quick question. This is probably an easy answer for you, but the 90s kid in me kind of remembers that most of the, live TV show or, recorded TV shows were done at Universal Studios or
Nick Arcade was filmed at Nickelodeon Studios at Universal Studios, Orlando, Florida. Now,
my question is, I actually had an experience where I went to Universal as a kid in the 90s, went to the Nick Studios, and we kind of had a double dare experience. I don't know if anyone else had this.
It was called Game Lab.
Yeah, but I was kind of wondering, how come, did you ever interact with any guests that would come to Universal for the day and actually film an episode where guests would come in, or it would just be, staged later on, or...
Okay, nothing was staged, by the way. Let me just say, with respect to... But I just want to make that clear so people are filming. But we would test out and have contestant auditions because, again, you wanted to make sure that the kids wouldn't freeze in front of the camera. You wanted to make sure they could speak and they could interact with me and each other. So there would be a kind of contestant auditioning. But a lot of shows do that, except, I mean, the rarities are like Price is Right. They choose you right out of the audience. You know, let's make a deal. They choose you right out of the audience. But any other show, from Wheel of Fortune to Jeopardy, you kind of have to go through a contestant audition kind of process. But what would happen, it may not be the answer to your question, but if there was a time in which I was in the studio and we weren't taping, there were tours that were going around. Like you said, you experienced kind of the Double Dare experience and a thing called Game Lab. They'd have the studio tours. And a lot of us had gotten in the habit of mingling with the tourists to see how long they would spot us, you know? And so we would do, I mean, like a bunch of us would do that. I mean, one of the biggest grown-up in trouble things I got into was I would always grab like Amanda Bynes and Danny Tamborelli whenever we had a break, and we would run up into the studio tour during a break of Figure It Out, and we'd stand around with the crowd, and the crowd is like looking at us through soundproof glass, you know, so like the show could tape, and yet the studio tour can go, and down there is Summer Sanders and Figure It Out, and we'd be up there going, that show sucks. And of course, then you had to feed Danny. The feeding Danny was, why would you say that? He go, I don't know. And then everybody realized it was us, and they would freak out and they take pictures. Meanwhile, down on the stage floor, they're ready to go, and they're like, where's Danny, Amanda, and Phil? And so we're running around. So, but the contestants, they were chosen ahead of time just to make sure that they could go through I mean, all shows did that. I mean, I think the biggest one that did that was Guts, because you physically. You don't want a kid going, do you have it? Oh, you don't want that at all. Yeah. Double Dare was different. Your parents were with you. You know what? It's your problem. But we would have some type of audition process. But when we weren't shooting and we were in the building, we would mix and mingle because. It's going to sound corny, but we really love the job that we did. We love the area that we're in, and we love the fans. So we'd always want to kind of just go, hey, and just have fun with them. Yeah. Hey, nice to meet you, Adrian. I just fell on the floor for no reason. I don't embarrass easy. He was asking, do I look back on old episodes, or do I look at it and like think it's dated? I get embarrassed. No, I tell you what, I don't think lately I've watched an entire episode. But there are moments from episodes that I remember, and when I see those things, like somebody sends me something on from YouTube, or if I'm looking at something because I'm looking for a particular thing, there are moments that I remember. One of the and actually the staff did something for me, which because they realized how much I like this, they put together like a montage of all of the crazy songs I used to sing for the video challenge, and. Yeah, and they did it. They made it look like those those albums. Like, hey, it's Fillmore's greatest hits. Everybody remembers that chart-busting ditty in the Pirate Zone. Are you mateys? Are you mateys? So that was fun. So I watched sometimes I watch that because that's kind of fun. Sometimes I watch because I'll run into somebody who was on the show. Or somebody will talk about a particular something and I don't remember it, and then I do, and it's fun. Sometimes I like watching. There's some episodes that are like Nickelodeon's versions of The Room, and I watch it because it's so bad it's good, And then there's somewhere I'm blown away, by the contestants. I tell you the one that I just watched, the last one that I watched, and I watched a big chunk of it because I was in LA and I got to be friends. As an adult, not when we were younger, but as an adult with Michael Ray Bauer, who plays Donkey Lips on Salute Your Shorts. And I got to be buzzed with him, and there was an episode of Nick Arcade in which we had cast members from Salute Your Shorts on. And so, right, you remember that? So we were talking about the episode and different things, so we watched certain segments of it. So the answer is, I do watch it. I'm not embarrassed by it. It was the best gig the start of a person's career. It was the best gig ever. I've done a lot of different things. I've won awards and stuff, but I think back to those days and just, realizing how unrestricted we were and how much we didn't know. And I don't mean that like to say that the people in charge didn't know, but they kind of said, that could be funny, that could work, try it. You know what I mean? And we were jumping into the water and not knowing the temperature to see what happened. So yeah, I love watching the old episodes. I love, but the one thing, I tell you what I don't like, okay? Personal admittance here. I never had time to learn all of the names of the characters on the video games. Video games were new. They were new. And there were some games that I played, but again, we got games on the show that were like prototypes. We get games and we shoot episodes before you could buy them in the store. So I didn't know what they were called. So every now and then I watch an episode and I cringe that I call Dr. Robotnik, Dr. Robotnik. Forgive me. I have learned. and I wish I could go back and like voice that over, something like that. Let me go to the back. I will be back up so you guys can see me, but I want to take a question like further back here so the people show the back some love over here. All right, let me ask this. Stop right here. What's your question, buddy? Yeah. Okay, he wanted to know out of all the fun things I did on Nick Arcade, what was the funnest thing I did? I already kind of talked about it. The songs. When the songs got born, I was like in the zone, literally. Okay, the birth of the songs. For those of you who don't know, those who may have just watched it because someone said, look at this, we're going to the panel. And you don't know who I am. When we did the video challenges, I would, not even just the video challenge, I would make up words to just the music. It would be going to the commercial, and I would just, and so here's the origin of that, the origin of the songs. There was a day because if you watch some episodes, watch the early episodes if you can find them in order, and there are no songs. It wasn't part of the show. No one said do it. It wasn't written into the script for me to do. I was just trying to learn the job. Again, first job ever on TV, trying to remember the beats. No teleprompter, no cue cards. Okay, so the only thing I had in front of me is like when we got to like a pop quiz or something like that, or a puzzle, I had what the puzzle was, but everything else I kind of had to remember, and I'd never done this before. But the birth of the songs, we had a technical malfunction with one of the games, which caused us to stop taping for like 20 minutes. So we have a studio audience of kids. Okay, it's hard enough to keep adults in their seats and not get them antsy when you have to like have a technical hold in the middle of taping a show. Now try it with like 8 to 12-year-olds, okay? So I'm out there and doing stand-up. I was out there having fun with the crowd. We had a terrific audience warm-up guy, and we were like just having a good time. We're tag teaming it, having a great time. But at some point, someone in the control room thought, let's help Phil out. He probably could use our assistance. So they started playing the theme song to Nick Arcade over the speakers. Over and over and over. I mean, it's like we're busy. I mean, I'm talking to people. Hey, what's your name, Timmy? Hey, you like playing baseball? And then dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. So it's interesting how it gets birthed out of like what you think is something bad. So when we finally got back to taping, I had heard this for so long, and I talked into my microphone. I was like, Scott, the executive producer was a guy named Scott Fishman. Scott, yeah, thank you for like making that song stuck in my head. I will never get it out of my head. I will incorporate it into everything I do. He laughs. I'm like, oh, you think I'm joking? Video challenge, yellow team gonna be, yellow team is coming with me. Look at this, I'm starting to singing. And it just stayed. So now I did it that one time, and that was my own little way of going, ha ha, back at you, control room. Until the next video challenge in the same episode, and I didn't sing. And we stopped tape, and they said, can you do another song for us? We kind of like that. And so oh, the birth of the Nick Arcade songs, and I made them up on the spot. There was never, it was based on what was going on. I mean, there was one of my favorite ones when they did the thing where Fillmore's greatest hits kind of thing. There was one where we had that Magnadoodle board that you'd write the wager on, and I dropped that little magnet on the floor, and I was like, red team's coming to visit me, and I dropped the thing. Oop, I dropped the writing thingy. It didn't matter. I made up songs to everything, and once that happened, it was interesting. It had a twofold effect because it was something that happened accidentally, but then for a young, nervous guy who had never hosted a TV show before, it became therapeutic. It was so relaxing. I looked forward, like I was just like you at home going, please land on Video Challenge. Please land on Video Challenge. Video Challenge! And I got to do a song again. So, yes. Oh, yeah, by the way, he was mentioning Robot Chicken. Seth Green gave me a call, and he's like, we're thinking about doing an episode of Robot Chicken, and we're going to be making fun of Mikey and the whole Nick Arcade thing. Would you come in and voice yourself? So, and I did. So it's an episode of, there's actually 2 episodes of Robot Chicken that I did. It's kind of fun. The bomb one. Okay, that was I thought it was great. Actually, there were times where I looked at Mikey. Mikey was always getting spooked by the ghost. He was the guy with the plank would hit him with the stick, the ruler. Mikey was getting jacked up all the time. And when they had the bomb, it was just like bomb, and it was just like, ooh, no, if this is not Roadrunner, you're getting jacked up, Mikey. So. Robot Chicken did an episode where the kids kept moving Mikey to the bombs, and so Mikey's eye was hanging out. Mikey was missing a leg. on the other episode that Robot Chicken did, Seth Green got in the minds of all of you, and you know how they have on Robot Chicken this nerd guy with the glasses, and he's at home and all that. Okay, well they had him get so mad at the kids playing on TV that he went to the studio to punch them out. So I don't know if the one is aired yet. We just recorded that one this year, and it takes about 7 months after recording for them to do the animation. So it takes a long time to get the animation done. Yes? No, but I got all the damn British knights you can carry. Okay, now listen, there's a story behind Space Camp. This is why I like talking to people, because I try to remember what to talk about, but y'all come up with the best stuff. All right. Story behind Space Camp. If this guy sees this, he's going to hate me. But one of the co-creators, the show was created by 2 brilliant guys that have been friends since high school, James Bethea and Karim Metef. And James Bethea said that they were given a sheet of paper where they had what the budget is for prizes and the various things that they could select as prizes. And the story, as he says it, is he put in the wrong number or one too many zeros or something. So instead of having 9 space camps or something, or he put a 1 in front of it, so it was 19 or something. And we only shot 25 episodes a season. So, when you have 19 space camps in a season that's only 25 episodes, that's a lot of space camps. But he literally said it was an error, just a casual mistake. But once the money got spent, you can't go back to space camp and go, look, I got a receipt. Can I have my money back, please? That's not happening. Does anybody back here in the back have a question for me? Yeah, what's your question, man?
So, you guys had a lot of trademark games, but you also had custom arcades. Do any of those arcade cabinets actually still exist?
Yes. As a matter of fact, dude, he asked that we had a lot of standardized games. We had a lot of custom cabinets, and the guy who has the custom cabinets is the other co-creator of Nick Arcade. He doesn't have all of them, but Karim Metef, he managed to walk away. Look, I don't know what I was thinking when the show was done. I took my check and just bye, I'm going. But Karim said, I want this, and he grabbed up a lot of good stuff. So he has a couple of them. And he's got a lot of the prototype games. They just released not too long ago Star Fox 2, but Karim has had Star Fox 2 for 20 years. Yeah. He's had it for 20 years. But as a matter of fact, okay, two things that would have happened had Nick Arcade had a third season. Because they only had 2 seasons. Two things that would have happened. Number one, they sent us Star Fox 2 because they wanted us to try it on the show to see if it was viable enough for them to keep making more. I'm telling you, we had Sonic the Hedgehog 2 on before you could buy it in stores. Sonic was a hit, but, is a sequel necessary? So we had it on the show. It was a big hit. Boom, they made it. So I get the funny feeling like sometimes canceling Nick Arcade is the reason why we didn't get Star Fox 2 for 20 years. The other thing that would have happened, I actually one day was having a meeting with the guys. After season 1, I knew what I was doing now. You know what I mean? I'd had 1 season under my belt. I learned how to host a show. I learned not to crack on the kids. I was singing the songs. I was in the zone. I was feeling it now. Phil Morris becoming a professional host now, And I suggested, by that time now, I'd gotten to become real good buddies with the other adults that were on the show. Nickelodeon had 2 worlds. The kids, the cast of Clarissa Explains It All and the cast of All That and Roundhouse and those casts. But then we also had, the Michael Malleys, the Mark Wiener from Wienerville. We had the grown-up guys, Kevin Kay, who was the guy that was on Keenan and Kel that ran the store. We had some adults. Yeah, remember? Yeah, we had adults. So the adults would kind of hang together. And we came with the kids, but it's the whole thing of, we can't, the adults would sit around and talk like, oh my gosh, man, the baby was up late last night, so we got hung up. And what was the question? Where was I going with this? I lost my train of thought. Seasons, yeah, thank you, seasons. Okay, so the idea that I had for them was, now that I got to meet a bunch of the other game show hosts and became friends with them. I'd worked with Mark Summers out on the road. Mike O'Malley and I had been touring around in the off season. They finally brought in Kirk Fogg, and he had just gotten his first season under the belt. And they just introduced us all to this wonderful young woman who was going to be hosting this new show called Figure It Out. And I suggested, before we found out we were canceled, why don't we have an episode of Nick Arcade in which the other game show hosts play on the show? Because we had Mike, Summer, Kirk, and Mark. So it could be 2 teams, the red team and the yellow team, and I would host the show, and it'd be Battle of the Game Show hosts. No season 3. Any other questions before we go? Any questions? Yeah. Oh wait, let me get somebody else. I was trying to spread the love. What's your question?
I'm the kind of person that likes to live on the misery of others. So are there any cringy moments that come to mind, whether it's something that you did, a contestant did, or someone in the production team? Like the cringiest moment. I need to know.
All right. She asked, were there any cringe-worthy moments? Cringe-worthy moments. You want the truth? You can't handle the truth. Yes. Now, before I say this, in the world of social media, I want you to know that I understand what was going on. As an adult, as a grown-up. Now, when you were watching, you were 10, 11, 12, you didn't know. You just wanted to kill that girl. But as an adult, I realized what was going on. And there was this one contestant on the show, and her name was Nadine. Now, some of you have seen the YouTube video. Yeah. I don't know why it was the hardest thing for me in the world to do to stay focused, because when you went into the video zone, in all fairness, the video zone was backwards. When I say backwards, when you went into the zone, you were on a green screen. You were looking at monitors. You were surrounded by monitors. You couldn't turn your head in any direction. It was more than the weatherman. The weather person's on, hi, there's going to be a high front coming in today. And they're looking at a TV monitor, and they know where to put their hands. But again, Nick Arcade is interactive. When you put your hand in a certain spot, it activates stuff. So you need to have, monitors all around depending on where your line of sight happens to be. Now, the biggest difference was this. And I would do this when I stood at the TV monitor trying to help them. Right was left and left was right to them. So when I'm telling them go to the right, it's so that they know to move to the right. But in actuality, it's left. It doesn't make sense. So in other words, I knew what to tell them. If they really needed to go to the left, I needed to say go to the right to help them out. And that is what I did. That was my job. Remember I said professional host, trying to help them out? I was trying to help them out. I wanted them to go to space camp. But for some reason, despite all my efforts, despite all of my trying, despite everything I could possibly do, no matter what I said, this young lady did the opposite. If I said, okay, the orb is up there, go up the ladder. No, up the ladder. Oh, it's okay, wait. Okay, it's down there where you are. So just reach over with your right hand. No, don't go up. Just reach. No matter what I said. I don't know why. I don't know. I mean, it's already sort of disorienting because coming into a television show, you're wired up. You hear people screaming. You've never done this before. Okay, so there's a lot going on. And you're only like 14 years old. So I got to give you a break. But at some point when I go walk up the ladder or walk up the stairs, you should do it. So that was like it was, and I think that was maybe be one of the rare times in which a contestant never followed my instruction. That's why I think it stuck with me. It was like she never followed my instruction. Now, the other cringeworthy moment, what we allow the contestants to do during the commercial break before they go into the video zone is we give them one time to run through it without the graphics. In other words, without turning the video zone on, just walk up the stairs. Are you okay with that? You comfortable? Okay, boom. You grab this bar. You got to swing over. Okay, you comfortable with that? Okay, great. Here's a snowball. Just roll it across. Are you comfortable with that? Just make sure that they're acclimated to the mechanics of what it is they have to do. And there's this one kid, for some reason, he walked up the stairs, at the end with like the game wizard, like Mongo or something, and they got all the way to the top and disappeared. Fortunately, there's padding everywhere. Now, my job was not to give them the run through. There was a million things that I had to do in order to prepare to go back after the commercial break. So there would be highly trained, safety people, talented people, and all you heard was, there's two places you never want to hear, uh-oh. Okay, you don't want to hear, oops, at the barbershop and from your doctor. But I realized there's a third place. When you have a 14-year-old doing a test run on a video game, you do not want to hear an associate producer go, oops. Fortunately, the kid was okay, and no harm. I think he laid there and giggled for a minute, and we got back up, and life went on. So that was again, nothing major happened. Hang on, let me go over to this side over here. I haven't gotten on the corners. I want to spread out here a little bit, make them away. All right, hey, what's your question?
Hey, I've ever heard of phone controllers.
Have I heard of who?
Phone controllers. They're actually like very big fans of your work.
Uh-huh.
And I was wondering, like, will you be going to their thing? Like, do you have any plans after?
Well, do we have plans? Well, here's the thing. Unfortunately, there's really, at this point in time, no plans of doing anything sort of Nick Arcade again. Which, oh wait, today is the anniversary of Nick Arcade airing for the very first time. And he was asking about like some other thing. We're not, unless the show ever came back, but right now, I would think that with the way things are now, later on this tomorrow and Saturday, I'm going to be hosting Versus, and they've taken technology and kind of stepped up, kind of like what we did, and they're doing something new and improved with today's technology. I don't know what we could incorporate if we just kind of dumped some real, tech into that show and do it now. Because look, I still jump around. I'll still do it. What's your question?
So mine's just kind of a fun question. Which three 90s Nick characters would you choose to describe yourself?
Oh, wow. Which three 90s Nick characters would I choose to describe myself? Can they be human? Okay. Character number one, I would say Stimpy. Character number two, Danny Tamborelli. Character number three, Kel Mitchell. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, hang on, let me go. Hang on. Oh, yeah, you sir. Yes. Oh yeah, he wanted to know if I ever ran the video zone. Yes. See, let me tell you something. We all played each other's games. Michael Malley ran the video zone. I climbed the aggro crag. Kirk Fogg ran the obstacle. We played each other's games because, you got used to yours. So, I ran the video zone. It's like, okay, yeah. And I wanted to make sure, I ran the video zone, number one, because I wanted to, have fun. And number two, you need to know how it works in order to help somebody else. How can I help you do the thing if I don't know how the thing works? But we actually all played each other's game. Hey, question wasn't asked. Biggest trouble I ever got in the Nickelodeon studios. Later on Figure It Out, my son was like one of the charade brigades. But when I was doing Nick Arcade, he was a much younger kid. I think when he was a charade brigade, I think he was 8. When I was doing Nick Arcade, I think he was like 5. He was 5. And we were so anxious, to climb the aggro crag, but they were on a lunch break. And if you've ever watched the show, they're wearing harnesses and with a hook on it, and there's a bungee cord, and there's stage hands making sure that if you actually slip, all you would do is this. You would go Mission Impossible, and that would be about it. But we couldn't wait. So we climbed the aggro crag without any safety harnesses. And we got to the top and we hit the actuator and we danced, and then somebody came in and went, "What are you doing up there?" And we're like, "We just climbed the aggro crag." "Yeah, without a harness." Any other questions for anybody? Let me slide over here. Yes, sir.
How is that Nickelodeon slime that comes down on your head during Figure It Out?
Very good question. How is the Nickelodeon slime? Okay, the slime, in its simplest explanation, it's cold and it's wet. Which was my stripper name back in the day. No, it's cold and it's wet, but it's very tasty. Because of dealing with kids, we had to make sure that every substance that got dumped on you was edible. So slime is made out of pudding, applesauce, and food coloring. It's actually delicious. It's which is why on episodes of Figure It Out, when you get slime and then do like this and stick your fingers in your mouth, everybody at home is going, "Oh, he's gonna die." But it's actually really delicious. Everything, slime, the pies, everything. Now, there were versions of the stuff that they sold in stores that were not edible, but the stuff that we used on the shows, everything had to be edible. Yes. Hey. Yes, I liked Sonic the Hedgehog, Super Ghouls and Ghosts, Super R-Type, and Super Adventure Island. Primarily because of the music. Super Adventure Island is the jam. Okay, is it just me? I'm by myself? Okay. Yes. This question, man. I can hear you from there. Go ahead. Go ahead.
My question is
Twofold.
First of all, it's time to the question.
Okay.
I just want to thank you for the Black Nerd Support.
Go. Hey, black, white nerds. Come on.
You know what I'm saying?
Come on. Yeah, wait. Hashtag Nerd Lives Matter. Nerd Lives Matter. Yeah. All right. Okay, number 2. Mm-hmm. Right. Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You're welcome. All right, cool. Well, very good question. Okay, yes. Okay, so once I got done with Nick Arcade, couple of things that went on with my career real quick. I hosted a whole bunch of things for Nickelodeon. We went on national tours. I was on Figure It Out. I was on all that. I did a whole bunch of stuff. I was on You're On, a hidden camera show that I did in 1999 to 2000. And then I ended up doing a show on Animal Planet. But then when I finally decided it's time to move from Orlando and maybe try the waters out in L.A., I started producing a lot of shows and writing a lot of shows. And so people used to go, oh man, what are you doing, man? We don't see you anymore. I go, no, but you see myself. As a matter of fact, in my room full of gamers, I was a producer at G4 on X-Play. Like a lot of people don't know. It's like, man, you handed in your gamer card? No, I'm making gaming shows. So Beat the Clocks. Now, Beat the Clock wasn't my idea, but NBC bought the rights to the old game show Beat the Clock, and it was normally just couples playing against couples, okay? What we decided to do with Beat the Clock was make it families against families. So now you have moms and dads with their kids playing against moms and dads with their kids. We even did episodes where we have grandparents and kids against grandparents and kids. And the reason why we thought that would be fun is because, you know what? Like, families doing stuff together is like, it's, again, going back to Nickelodeon, it's like it's going away. So we thought it would be a great way to bring it back. Even some shows that Nickelodeon is doing right now, they have a couple of Game Paradise runners on, Mega Monster Mayhem, and it's all just kids, which is great. But one thing that Nickelodeon did have was a way to incorporate the family element into it, especially in the live shows we used to do. No matter what the show was, we would do games from Wild and Crazy Kids, but in our version, we would get parents and kids up on the stage. So the reason why we did Beat the Clock, which airs on starting in February, this February, on Universal Kids. It's a new channel on NBC called Universal Kids. So check it out. But the reason why we did it with kids and families is because it's been missing for a while. It's time to bring it back. I mean, that's why you bring in an OG like me from Nickelodeon into a brand new show, because it's like, hey, how did you guys used to do that stuff? Let's see if we can get some of that flavor into this new thing. So that's why. That's why. So check it out. All right, Mr. Beck, what's up?
All right. Since people.
Oh, he's all serious. Like, all right. Enough of these other crazy questions. I got the real question right here.
Okay. Since somebody else asked you to sell out your contestants, what's the best story you heard from one of the other hosts at the bar?
Okay. All right. Very good question. So what is he said, I've already given my my favorite moments and cringing moments. What are some of the other moments that I've heard from some of my fellow hosts? Okay. I just want you to know that he asked this question. So when I say the answer, don't get offended, because it is what really happened, and I'm just telling a story. Okay? No, because people on Twitter are stupid sometimes, and you know what he said? I just told a story. This isn't my view or opinion. Okay, so one of the stories that I got from Mike O'Malley, who before he hosted Guts, he hosted Get the Picture. You know that show, Get the Picture? It's like a puzzle game. And it was a question about the group Wilson Phillips. And what were the name of the three, the sisters? It was I don't remember what the names were, but one of them's name was Virginia. I think. Am I right? Anyway, the kid buzzed in, and it was like, it was so-and-so, and who else? And the kid buzzed in and said Vagina Phillips. So, he lost it, and then they had to stop tape because he was cracking up. My man Kirk Fogg's favorite story is there was an episode of Legends of the Hidden Temple where you get it, where you get in, I don't know what the game was, but you're in these things. There's like styrofoam, like bricks or something. You got to wade through it or something, and a kid threw up in it. that was the love. Because it's not like just going with a mop. It's like on little styrofoam bricks that flop up. So every time a brick flew somewhere, puke went flying on. So that's his cringeworthy story. And I don't know. I don't remember any particular like game show story that Mark tells. But I mean, because we talk about a lot of different things. But those are the two that stand out of my mind because they were just like, it made me go, oh, just like it did you guys. Any other questions before we're getting close to time here, so let me see if I can get a couple more in real quick. All right, yeah.
Favorite video game of all time?
Oh man, that's like saying which one of your kids is the favorite. He said he wanted me to name my favorite video game of all time. But you love different games for different reasons. Can I divide it up between three? Because there is three. I actually talked to Joe about this. I cannot just give you one, but I like different things for different things. Like, what's your favorite song? Well, if I'm feeling like dancing, here's my favorite song. If I'm feeling like, bounce chicka wow wow, here's my favorite song. If I'm feeling depressed, here's my favorite song, Okay, so I'll give you three for three different reasons. And they're all old school, by the way, okay? I mean, I like the new games, but I find myself going back to these, it's rainy day. All right, I'm going to put in GoldenEye. Huh? Yeah. That's your opinion. Okay, other game? Star Wars Rogue Squadron. Because when you got to do around the little legs that they add at, and that's hard as hell to do. Oh, man, but it's like the game. It's like the movie. So that's the other one. And last but not least. No. Oh, man, it's so hard. It's so hard because I'm torn between Siphon Filter and Megastrand or Need for Speed for the PS2 Black Edition, or let me just go right here and stay at Star Fox. Do a barrel roll. It just reminds me of Anakin. Let's spin. That's a good trick. So I would say like maybe those three right off the top there as my all-time favorites. I just go back to them. That's that. It's a rainy day, or like we just wrapped on a show. I have 2 weeks before the next thing. What am I gonna play? And I could start something new. I could put in Battlefront 2, but I always seem to gravitate back to the old ones for a minute. I start out with them. Yes. Oh, good question. He said, with some of the old school Nickelodeon shows being brought back, like Hey Arnold, Rocco Modern Life, they just did Legends of the Hidden Temple. But seriously, I mean, look, I don't mean this to be like self-glorifying, but I think the concept of like somebody being trapped inside of a game and having to get out, not like Tron, but like two kids who like somehow got lost inside of a game. I think Nick Arcade, like, it kind of writes itself in a weird kind of way. I would love to see that as some type of weird kind of thing. And somehow like Mikey's in control or something, like what if Mikey was like Palpatine? Come on, what if Mikey was really Palpatine and you had to go in and reprogram him and make him nice and stuff? I don't know. I think that would be really fun. I've always wanted to see like also a CGI version of Rugrats. I thought that'd be kind of interesting to see. But again, like I don't particularly like the new Powerpuff Girls, so maybe that wouldn't work. I don't know. Yes, sir.
You mentioned music in Super Adventure Island. Are you a fan of video game music? Or?
Heck yeah. Okay. All right. He's asked, am I a fan of video game music? Yes, I am. It's funny because on my iPhone, not my iPhone, but on my iPod, I've got like when I'm in the car, every now and then it goes on my playlist. It jumps over to my video game music. Every now and then I'm rolling down the street and you go dun 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 dun. Oh, that's the jam, man. Oh my gosh, and that's the thing. It's not like it's like the B cut size. Like I mean, yes, we all like dun 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 dun, but it's the B side jams that are like on a level that you don't really. Oh man, yeah, I do. I like video. I like video game music. And I play some in the car. There's one on Super Adventure Island called like Sound of Indianapolis because it kind of has that Prince sound, and it goes. Okay, you guys gotta look it up. It's like I'm telling you, it's for real. But it's a really cool jam. Yes. No, I haven't. But tell me, Game Center CX. All right, something I gotta check out now. Oh, really? Oh, man, I would check them out. I would definitely check it out. Okay, look, we're getting near the end. Listen, again, if you haven't done it already, don't forget to do what the thing said on here. Go to the guidebook. Yeah, the guidebook. The guidebook, he's holding up the sign back there saying, wrap it up. Oh, well, wrap it up. Wrap it up. As I said, practice safe hosting. Wrap it up, okay? Listen, I am here all weekend long. I have enjoyed MAGFest. If you see me around, don't be scared. Talk to me. I talk back, and I'll see you for the rest of the weekend. Thanks for coming out.